last night, but saying at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charges. Now, this is when Caitlin Clark chimed in. Caitlin Clark said, "Careful, you're going to get fined." Then Sydney Colson said, "I can't get."
The WNBA is once again in the spotlight for controversy. Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson are refusing to stay silent about the league's ongoing referee bias. This time, the gloves are off. Indiana Fever stars are calling out some of the most blatant double standards seen in professional sports. Let's break down how this latest firestorm began and why it threatens to expose the WNBA's biggest hidden issue.
Who paying you, ref? Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? She's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam. She's like...
After the Indiana Fever's nail-biting 76-75 victory over the Los Angeles Sparks on August 29th, what should have been a celebration quickly turned into controversy. Sydney Colson, sidelined all season with a torn ACL and watching from home, saw something that made her blood boil.
There is one referee. We definitely have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock. And Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with 0.4 seconds?
In the second quarter, Kelsey Mitchell drove to the basket when Kelsey Plum grabbed and pulled her, clearly trying to stop the play. The contact was so blatant that even casual fans in the nosebleed seats could see it.
Oh, there's Leah. You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you slide W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the game, during free throws, after the game.
Incredibly, the referees let it slide as if they were watching an entirely different game. Mitchell still managed to finish the drive with a layup, but the damage was done. The Fever bench erupted in frustration, and that's when things really started to heat up.
That's what everybody saw in that game. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given. The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They did not deserve to win that game.
Even from the bench, Caitlin Clark couldn't stay silent. She jumped to her feet, yelling at the referees, "Call it. Call it." Her teammate, Lexi Hull, so frustrated by the obvious no call, also stood up in protest and immediately got hit with a technical foul. Think about that for a moment. Hull gets penalized for expressing frustration over an obvious missed call, while the player who committed the foul continues playing without consequence.
Yo, please tell me y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indiana Fever game, but the officiating was flat out.
If you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. Now here's where it gets really wild. Sydney Carlson, watching the chaos from her living room, decided she'd had enough. She took to social media and posted a tweet that perfectly summed up what everyone was thinking. At a certain point in the league's existence, I'll need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane. I've even thought about bringing in my sister to have the league pursue charges. This wasn't a random complaint from an injured player seeking attention. Carlson was calling out the systematic targeting of Indiana Fever players, and she wasn't afraid to make it public. The tweet went viral almost instantly, faster than a Clark three-pointer, and that's when Caitlin Clark jumped into the conversation.
But Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the three whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there, and I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in to have her pursue.
Clark's response was short, sharp, and dripping with sarcasm. Careful, you're going to get fined. 5 words that perfectly captured everything wrong with the WNBA's approach to player criticism. It was a not-so-subtle jab at the league's recent crackdown on anyone questioning officiating. Clark knew exactly what she was referencing. Her teammate Sophie Cunningham had become the league's punching bag for speaking out about referee inconsistencies. Cunningham had been fined 3 separate times. $500 for a TikTok where she lip-synced to lyrics calling refs stupid and useless, and another $1,500 for comments on her podcast highlighting the inconsistencies in officiating.
Be careful, you're going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back and forth there. That's crazy. Erica's in the mix.
It gets worse. Cunningham was fined a 3rd time simply for questioning why rookie standout Paige Beckers was receiving preferential treatment from officials. She said, those refs were giving her every whistle last night. You couldn't touch her. That's so frustrating. And if you're going to do that, give it to our guards too. For pointing out referee bias, the WNBA punished her again. The message is clear. Shut up and accept whatever treatment we decide, or face financial consequences. It's like watching a protection racket masquerading as professional sports administration. Sydney Carlson understood this perfectly. Her response to Clark's warning, I can't take any more fines, spoke volumes. She's already been financially penalized for speaking truth to power and has hit her limit.
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player focused, that's I think that's a huge problem. But then again, I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
Facts.
Is that fair to say?
We know she's a good rookie and she's gonna get some whistles, but to get the treatment she got last night was
What makes this situation even more frustrating is that the statistics tell the story of systematic targeting in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark has suffered 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league this season. 17%. That's not random. It's clear evidence of bias disguised as competitive play, and it's not just Clark. Kelsey Mitchell, as Sydney Carlson pointed out, regularly faces aggressive fouls with no consequences for her opponents. During the Sparks game, Mitchell drove aggressively all night, but only made it to the free throw line twice. Compare that to the preferential treatment other stars receive, and the double standard becomes undeniable. The WNBA's response? Silence the players instead of addressing the problem. Protecting referees' feelings has taken priority over fair competition. When Sophie Cunningham called out the inconsistency, saying, "If I was a ref, I know I would mess up all the time, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing?" The league's solution was to hit her wallet rather than fix the officiating.
More people are talking about the refs than that. More people are talking about Caitlin Clark's reaction than that. And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game. A game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever not even just maybe, the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark having to be restrained by her team.
This isn't just about individual games or missed calls. It's a systematic pattern of bias threatening the integrity of the entire league. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White has been raising the alarm for months, calling the officiating egregious and highlighting the double standards at play. She's been fined for speaking out because apparently telling the truth is now a punishable offense in the WNBA. The favoritism is painfully obvious. During games, referees apply completely different standards to identical situations. What's a foul for one team becomes a no call for another. Hard screens that would be penalized against Indiana are suddenly legal plays when run by other teams. And the disparity in technical fouls is striking. Clark gets flagged for showing emotion after obvious no calls, while opposing players can commit blatant fouls with no consequence. It's like two entirely different rulebooks exist within the same game.
Right here, okay? It was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Agan Abazi. Agan Abazi, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding, shame. Ding, ding, shame. Ding, ding. Come on, man.
The league's use of financial intimidation is especially troubling when you consider the salary structure. Sophie Cunningham, earning around $90,000 this season, has already been fined over $2,000 for speaking out, a sizable portion of her income, effectively punishing her for raising legitimate concerns. But here's the irony. The WNBA's heavy-handed approach is backfiring. Rather than silencing criticism, every fine only draws more attention and support for the players. Fever fans are even offering to cover Carlson's potential fines, and former executives like Lynn Dunn are publicly siding with the players over the league office. The timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA. The league is experiencing record growth in popularity, largely thanks to Caitlin Clark's phenomenal rookie season. And yet, instead of protecting their biggest stars, the league allows them to be targeted while punishing anyone who speaks out. It's like shooting the goose that lays golden eggs just because it's too loud.
Hey, Ganabazi, how much money you got on that game? You took the Sparks to win, huh? Didn't you? You took the Sparks to win, huh? Didn't you? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time you'll get the benefit of the doubt. The referees are bad, Bo. The referees are absolutely horrendous in this game. There's no other way to call it for what it is. The referees are abysmal. And you can't help but wonder, is there foul play going on here? Is there foul play going on? Yeah, that's just one example, but we can go game by game and just look at
What makes Sydney Colson's tweet so striking is that she isn't even playing right now. Sitting out with a torn ACL, she's still outraged by the blatant mistreatment of her teammates. That kind of solidarity exposes just how broken the officiating has become. Caitlin Clark's swift response to Colson about potential fines highlights how normalized this financial intimidation is. Players now have to measure every public comment against the risk of league punishment, turning legitimate criticism into a potential act of insubordination. The frustrating part is that the WNBA could fix this easily. They could improve referee training, establish accountability measures, and stop treating valid criticism as a personal attack on authority. Instead, they've opted for financial intimidation and victim blaming. Meanwhile, games are plagued by inconsistent officiating. Clear fouls go ignored, phantom calls appear at critical moments, and even star players who are supposed to be protected are targeted without consequence.
Be a lawyer. Sid Colson is someone that everyone used to call the face of the league because she gets along with everybody. So when she's taking to Twitter to complain about something, it must be bad. Because usually she's just really funny, kind of cracking jokes here and there. And although this was pretty funny, there was a tone of seriousness, like calling out the referees, because the way that the Indiana Fever has been officiated, I think she finally understands from being on the team. And I'm telling you, this team sticks together. Her whistle was so bad last night that Lexi Hull even got a tech for it. And we are talking about Lexi Hull. Has not had a tech yet this
broader pattern is impossible to ignore. The WNBA has built a system where certain players receive preferential treatment, while others, especially those on teams like Indiana, are held to entirely different standards. It's not about the quality of play or following the rules. It's about preserving whatever narrative the league office wants. Now, with Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson refusing to stay quiet, that system is being exposed for what it is: a rigged game where outcomes are influenced more by referee bias than actual basketball skill. The league's habit of penalizing anyone who speaks out only highlights how desperate they are to maintain the illusion of fairness. The fact that players are willing to risk steep fines to speak up shows just how broken the system has become, when professional athletes would rather pay thousands than stay silent about corruption. You know the game is fundamentally flawed.
Clark's got every single call imaginable, and it was just noticeable, to the point you got Caitlin Clark running on the floor, ready to crash out on a ref in the middle of the game, to the point where it's obvious. It's obvious. It's like the fix was in. The fix was completely in. So the WNBA needs to do something about this. Kathy Engelberg, you need to get a hold of what's going on here. The officiating Kelsey Mitchell getting knocked around like a damn pinball.
Here we are, watching the WNBA's biggest stars call out the league's most obvious issues, while the league office responds with financial threats instead of real reform. It's a perfect snapshot of everything wrong with how the league is run. Players like Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson deserve credit for speaking the truth that everyone else is thinking. The question now is whether the WNBA will actually listen to its players and fans, or continue down a path of financial intimidation and willful ignorance. Based on their track record, meaningful change doesn't seem likely anytime soon. But at least now, thanks to voices like Clark and Colson, the world can see exactly what's happening behind the WNBA's carefully constructed facade.